Megan, hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm really excited to speak with you about The Kissing Booth 3. How did it even get to this point where you're filming the second movie and the third movie back to back, but you're not even, it's secret. You're not even telling people that the third movie has been filmed until you get back to promote the second one. What was that experience like for you?
I know. Actually, I'm surprised that secret didn't slip sooner, mainly because I'm really bad at keeping secrets. If anyone was gonna let it slip, it probably would have been me. Yeah, it was such a whirlwind. It was so surreal to get an email saying they want to make not only another one, but they want to do two and they want to shoot them at the same time. I think logistically it made sense because we shot in South Africa, so it's quite a distance for some of the cast and our director, DP, and producer to travel. So that far, you might as well make the most of the time. Yeah, and I'm just so excited that we get to finally share this film that we shot like 2 years ago. But keeping it a secret, it was hard. I feel like, yeah, as I said, I'm surprised it didn't come out sooner.
And you had a bit of a smaller role in the first one, and in the second and third film, your role is bigger. It develops a lot.
Yeah, I was so excited to see that. Actually, in the first film, there were a few more scenes with Rachel, but just for various reasons, they didn't make the cut. So I feel like I knew so much about the Rachel Lee storyline that no one else saw, maybe unless they read the book.
Mm.
But I felt like I was like, I know all of this and there's such potential. And I guess Vince agreed. And so coming back and having that role and that relationship expanded was very exciting. I was very thrilled. I had some wonderfully challenging scenes, which that's kind of my favorite. I love to feel challenged. So it was great.
What does it feel to shoot the Rachel and Lee relationship? In particular, in the second movie, you talked about how the marshmallow scene and sort of being stood up and third wheeled for a Halloween costume was one of your favorite to do. I
Yeah.
think what I really enjoy about these movies is that they're about relationships, and relationships are difficult. They're messy. They're complicated.
Yeah.
They're full of rules. What was something that you enjoyed about sort of finding that, the pain within, but also the leading to the positive parts of relationships?
Yeah, I really loved the complexity of the relationships, particularly between Lee, Rachel, Elle, and navigating those.
Mhm.
And what I really enjoyed and I was really proud of was that it wasn't about jealousy. It wasn't about a threat. It wasn't about Elle being a female best friend to Lee that was the issue. It wasn't about that at all. And I certainly did not play Rachel to be a jealous person. It's much more mature than that, and I think this is an important message and an important lesson that, like you said, relationships are complicated, whether it's friendships, family dynamics, or romantic relationships. You need to find a way to make space and, you know respect everyone's feelings. And I thought that was such a wonderful message to be putting out.
And part of what I enjoy about the movies as well too is the physical aspects of them too. That marshmallow scene in particular. Into the third movie, you have an incredible set piece involving Mario Karts. What was it
Yeah.
like to shoot that one?
Oh my God. Intense. Very, very intense. It was a very long, that was like a long shooting period to get that scene done. I think in total we had I don't know, 10 days on that. Um, just because it was outside and you're against the weather and there were so many moving pieces, but it is such an amazing scene. This is not only that one, but I just think the whole third movie feels like an ensemble, which it is. It's the ensemble coming together, and it's just so much fun, and it's so big, and it's so bright and colorful. And I'm not gonna lie, I really did enjoy that bodysuit situation. It would rest my tea on my stomach. I ate a lot of cookies because I didn't have to worry about looking like a little bloated or anything. So I really got into it and felt it and was Luigi.
what has that meant about the ensemble coming together? You know, we had talked to Taylor for the previous movie who came into it, and Maisie as well into the second movie and the third. It really does seem like everybody is bonding on and off screen. You know, you talked about living in sort of that Melrose Place complex, and about your
Yeah.
breakfast tradition with the oats and how people had sort of warmed to that as well too.
Yeah.
What is this sort of dynamic meant to you on and off screen?
You know, I feel like whenever you make a film or you work on a show, you do bond because you're kind of in a situation, you're in a bubble and no one else gets to see what's in that bubble except for you. And then the next best like step of that, of like having a great bubble that feels positive, is actually leaving the bubble and still having the friends from that bubble. You know, you don't just walk away and say goodbye and then that's it. I think just having such a genuine bond, being genuinely grateful for this whole opportunity and grateful to the fans, and from that wanting to make sure that these films were at a really high standard, that they would really love them, that they, you know, they wouldn't be disappointed. And I think we all had that common interest, and that really pulled us together, on top of just really liking each other, which was just so nice.
Yeah, and fun to see too another Australian in the that your mother is from Sydney, from Australia as
Yeah,
well, and Jacob,
yeah.
but he's from the other side, right, from Queensland. So I don't know, is it nice having sort of another sort of Australian in the cast as well too?
I mean, it's kind of like nice and familiar, the accent. My mom's accent has kind of diluted quite a lot because of living in South Africa for such a long time. And then we also traveled around a lot when I was growing up.
Mhm.
But every now and then her accent comes out. So when I heard Jacob, I was like, oh, I like that. That's kind of familiar and comforting. And a very similar sense of humor, I think, to South Africans, kind of like a dry sense of humor. Yeah.
Um, what about, in fact, that the cast is so, I mean, it's such a professional cast. You talk about that a lot, you know, that
Yeah.
these are pros, you know. Joey's been in the industry for a long time. You know, what did you sort of learn about professionalism, about, you know, honing your craft when making these movies?
I think the biggest thing I noticed with this film was there weren't egos. You know, I especially think of Joey because she is just so incredibly talented, and you know her trajectory has just gone like through the roof, and she
Mhm.
still remains the most kind, the most humblest person. She treats everyone on set with the same amount of respect. It doesn't matter if you're in front of the camera, behind the camera, if you're working at the craft table at Crafty, or you are the director or producer. Like, she is treating everyone with respect and kindness. And I just, you know, I admire that so much. And it's something that I have always tried to do. And to watch a lead of this incredibly successful franchise just be so down to earth and so giving, I found that really inspiring and really refreshing.
A lot of these movies are about summer and having fun in the summertime. So like it is right now, what's been your best summer ever, your best summer experience?
I have to admit, I'm not a summer person.
Oh, okay.
I'm like the only person in the world. If you can
The
put me
sunscreen
like,
too, right?
yeah, yeah, like give me like a bucket of sunscreen and a
Mhm.
really big umbrella and put me on a beach with a cocktail, I can do that. But just general
Mhm.
like summertime is just not like, I spend my life like reapplying sunscreen and I'm like running from shade to shade. I am definitely more of a winter baby. I
Mhm.
like the cold. It's actually raining today in Vancouver and I'm like, yes, love it.
And what are some of your favorite things in terms of, you're really being into music as well too? You know, some of the song recommendations that you've given, I actually sought them out. Quite interesting.
I gave song recommendations.
Yeah, in a previous interview, I think you were writing about some of the songs that have meant something to you. You talked about Taylor Swift and folklore a little bit,
Oh,
and
yeah.
jumping off from there, some sort of folk influenced music that I've been listening to.
I feel like if anyone has like the best taste in music, it's probably Joey. I
Mhm.
do like that you now that you mentioned Taylor Swift, something I really admire about her is her storytelling. And
Mm.
I like to write. I find it very therapeutic, and it's kind of my way of navigating difficult situations or difficult emotions. I like to get it out onto a page.
Mm.
And that's something I really admire about Taylor Swift and her storytelling.
So, was there ever a point, like after the first one, where you just saw what an incredible response it was receiving? The second one, now with the third one, has there ever been sort of that moment where you've been just like, this is really touching a lot of people?
Yeah, I think honestly, like when the first one came out, and then it just suddenly it felt like a light, like a switch went off, and it just sort of exploded into this thing I didn't think it would. Like I just didn't think about it. You know, we finished that film, a film came out. It's always really exciting. You're always so grateful for those opportunities, but you're always looking forward and moving forward. So for it to grow to that magnitude because of the popularity and because of the fans and the passion from the fans, and then to get to do two more and suddenly be in a franchise, like it was very unexpected. And yeah, in terms of moments, I think when that first film came out, big moment. And then when it was the lead up to that second film coming out, and it was the passion before they'd even seen the film, that was, I actually got quite anxious because I was like, oh my God, there's like a lot of pressure. I hope they like it. I hope that they're proud and they want to watch this one as much as the last one. It was, quite nerve-wracking. It's quite vulnerable too whenever you create something and you put it out and you want people to receive it in the same way.
Yeah. Have you had a favorite fan interaction or a fan encounter as a result of the films?
Um I feel like I have a lot more kind of interaction, obviously online, just
Mm.
because we went into the pandemic before the second movie
Mm.
came out. So I get a lot of very sweet messages. Sometimes it's hard to like keep up with everyone's messages. I did recently go to a little restaurant by the coast, and now we're at a point where we're not necessarily having to wear masks.
Mhm.
And I was recognized by our server, and that was just a nice interaction. Like it was very just sweet and conversational, and she had just graduated, and it was like, oh, then this is the film for you. Like you're like, I mean, it's a film for everyone, but
Mm.
it just felt like, oh yeah, all these people are graduating, going into summer, and they're gonna watch this film. Like that's like we're part of their story and they're part of ours.
Hmm. So what does that feel like for the third film? Because a lot of it is about transitions, a lot of it is about saying goodbye or maybe taking that next step. What did that feel like, when you're working with this cast and doing back-to-back movies? How did it feel like to maybe say goodbye to some of them or so long, or, we'll see what happens from here?
It was so hard. I've been asked this question and I wish I could come up with an original answer for everyone, but it just was really emotional. It was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. I had so much fun. I got to do so many things that I've never gotten to do as a person and not as an actor either. I felt really challenged. I felt like I learned a lot, and I walked away with these incredible friends. And it just felt like a turning point in my life and in my career. And yeah, hard. It was just hard, but so amazing at the same time. And I'm so glad that we have created this kissing booth community. And I'm very interested to see the longevity of it. I feel like in 10 years' time, people are still going to be watching and talking about the kissing booth and what it means to them.
And one of the things that I like about it too is that it hits the top of the algorithm. It's right there. There's so much on Netflix, but these films are right at the top. People are really responding them, really finding them. I'm curious what kind of stuff you find. What's on the top of your Netflix queue? What have you watched on Netflix that you've really enjoyed?
Recently, I actually just finished this yesterday or the day before, is another YA series called Never Have I Ever.
Mm.
And I really, really, really enjoyed that. So fun. Just, I also think I know that she's actually from India, the character, or her family's from India, but I lived in Sri Lanka for 6 years, and I did travel to India quite a bit. And so I feel like it was kind of weirdly nostalgic because it was reminding me of people that I had known growing up or met growing up in some ways. But otherwise, it's such an amazing cast. They're so diverse, like they're so talented. I loved it.
I haven't yet asked you about working with Joel because, I've heard you talk about that, within this relationship that you're creating, that it is complicated, but, a lot of it is sort of calling the other person out, communicating, saying, hey, I'm not feeling quite like you're fully invested in this, or you need to change it up a little bit. So how do you craft that dynamic with him? Because that's sort of key to these films.
Yeah, I think, Joel and I had such a great partnership. I feel like we were great friends, and working on these films, I think there was a lot of trust. I trusted him, he trusted me. And so when it came to actually playing these scenes, we really looked to the script, we looked to our director, and then as actors just trusted each other to play our character's truth and then kind of go from there. I don't think Joel and I really like sat down and analyzed anything too much, because I think we kept it really fresh and organic on the day.
And on that note, I have to ask you, what are some of your favorite scenes from the entire trilogy? What were some of your favorite scenes to shoot? And what are some things that you haven't yet done that you'd like to do upcoming?
I think some of my favorite scenes are definitely like the ensemble scenes, just because I feel like our cast is just so hilarious and has so much energy. I don't want to give away anything, but I just think there's some really amazing ensemble moments in the third film, which is just so perfect to kind of say goodbye to everyone and everything. Those are definitely my favorite, and I love those guys. They're nuts in the best way. What haven't I gotten to do? I want to do like more stunt work. I want to be in a Marvel movie. I want to fight people. I want to do like rolls and tumbles, or a boxing film. Like I want to do something super physical and athletic, and requires like lots of training and eating protein shakes. That's what I want to do next.
It seems like sort of the buildup around these films have been really incredible in terms of the coming together, doing the activities, and really having the events. So, what have been some of those that you've really enjoyed? You have a lot coming up too around this, reunions and the fans getting involved. So what's some of the plans for that? And then when the film finally does come out and on Netflix, how are you going to feel about that?
Yeah, I think like last year when the pandemic hit and they came up with this Fan Fest week, it was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Because I was pretty gutted that we weren't going to get to do a premiere and get to do these junkets in person. I was like, how are we going to celebrate this when I live here? Like everyone's isolated in their homes. We've got this movie coming out, and you wanted to put it out because it was a feel-good movie during a time when people were really not feeling good, and it felt like that was important to do and something to help. But it was like, also, but how are we gonna bring everyone together? So I was so amazed. And then obviously now coming in to do the third one and getting to do this, like you're in Toronto, I've been talking to people in Brazil, I'm talking to someone in Singapore. Like it's so cool that we can just have this interaction, and also with the fans, and put them into rooms with us and get to interact and have that FaceTime with them. And it definitely makes me feel like you're never that far away. You can connect with each other. And yeah, I think that I really love that. I am very excited for the third movie. I really do think it's like the most fun. I don't want to say the best one, but I think it's going to be so perfect. It's coming out like height of summer, such a summer feel-good film. And I'm just so ready. Like, I just want to like watch it now. Like, let's do this. I want you to see.
I just want to ask you one more thing about that, because you've been so, and I think this is really brave too, that you've been really open about talking about your struggles with anxiety. And
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're not feeling well, you're open about that. And for a lot of people, that's tough, especially at
Yeah.
this time. So what has that meant to you, and in terms of that this is a feel good film, that you feel good at the end of it?
Yeah, I think I know for myself how important films are in elevating your mood. And during the initial lockdown at the beginning of the pandemic, I definitely struggled a lot, and I found it really difficult to feel motivated. I felt like I had all this momentum going, and everything kind of stopped, and I was like, ugh. And definitely turned to movies, and I watched my old favorite movies and went through a lot of rom-coms. And there was just something just so nice to escape into a world and be taken away, and to get swept up into these stories and leave them feeling good and knowing that I can go back into it again. So I definitely appreciate that so much now, on kind of on behalf of the fans. Like, I understand what they're feeling towards us because I have felt it for other films as well. And I'm just so happy that the amount of messages that we all get from people to just say, I'm really lonely and you guys made me feel like I had some friends around me today, or I was having a bad day and your film makes me smile, so I've watched it 3 times today. But getting those messages, it's so meaningful because it's so good to know that you're doing something that's positively impacting people. It
Mm.
just feels amazing.
I hope that that's helped you out on a personal level too. The
Yeah,
rom-coms,
I think,
a good rom-com
yeah,
can cheer anybody up, I hope.
yeah.
Good. And I really commend you too for sharing that. I think that that's so tough to do, to decide what am I comfortable sharing. And I think that opening up a little bit about your own personal struggle has really impacted me. It's been really nice to
Oh,
see that.
thank you.
So overall, I just want to say thank you. It's been really, really, really nice hearing from you about these films and wherever you head next. And I just wanted to wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time.